My name is Pat Castellano, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Duluth, as well as a trained and certified League of Women Voters moderator. I have the pleasure of moderating this forum, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Duluth, I'd like to welcome everyone, so thank you for coming. The League of Women Voters is pleased to present this General Issues Pre-Election Forum for Duluth City Council 4th District. Thank you, candidates, for your willingness to participate in local government and in this event. The League of Women Voters believes that an informed citizenry is the foundation of effective democracy. The League is open to membership for men and women who are interested in nonpartisan civic participation. The League of Women Voters Duluth realizes that creative and innovative policies and practices are forged out of diverse points of view. We believe diverse perspectives are necessary for responsible and representative decision-making. We acknowledge our commitment to welcome and facilitate diversity, equity, and inclusion in all aspects of our work. We strive to include people from a mix of abilities and backgrounds in all of our activities. And you are invited to join us. For more information, check out our website at www.lwvduluth.org. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan volunteer organization that works at the local, state, and national level to encourage citizens to participate in government. While we as a league do study and take stands on issues, we do not endorse or support political parties or candidates. The views expressed at today's forum are those of the participating candidates and not those of the League of Women Voters of Duluth. Additionally, League of Women Voters sponsorship of this forum is not a league endorsement of any of the individual candidates participating. And please remember to exercise your right to vote in the primary election on Tuesday, August 8th. At this time, I'd like to introduce the candidates. Howie Hanson, Nathaniel Rankin, Tara Swenson, Salam Witherspoon, and Bruce Furman Woodman are also District 4 candidates, but are not here today. Our forum will begin with the candidates giving a 2-minute opening statement followed by the questioning round. Questions have been vetted by our Voter Services Committee. Candidates were not given the questions in advance. Each candidate will be given up to 1.5 minutes in which to provide their response. The questioning round has been set up so that each candidate will be asked questions in a rotating order. The order in which candidates will respond was determined at random and will rotate the responses throughout the forum. After the questioning round is completed, each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute closing statement. And so for the opening statement, we'll begin with candidate Rankin.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I do appreciate it. My name is Nathan Rankin. I was born and raised in Duluth in the West End, also known as Lincoln Park District, which still puzzles me anyways. I've been a resident all my life. I actually own the house that I grew up in, bought it from my parents. Figured I might as well stick around Duluth. I like the area. It was a great place to raise my kids. My kids don't live in Duluth because of the direction it's gone. It's gotten a little more unsafe, not as good as it used to be. Living in the neighborhood. My neighborhood's gone from good, bad, bad. Streets are falling apart. Infrastructure is not good. And we don't have enough jobs. I mean, all jobs are geared towards tourism, not to actually stick aroundism. That's the way I look at it, and that's kind of where I stand at.
Thank you. Candidate Hanson?
Thank you. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for providing this opportunity for us to share our messages and a little bit about our why we're engaged in this sometimes difficult process. So again, thank you for that, and thank you to the candidates here, Tara and Nathaniel, and I think we've got some really good slate of candidates. I think in the 4th District for our citizens to choose from. I formerly served as the 4th District Duluth City Councilor for 4 years, previous to the 6-year tenure of the late Renee Van Nett, who was a close personal friend. And I learned while serving in a minority group on the city council that experience is really important. It takes quite a while to get your feet under you as a newly seated Duluth City Councilor, and learning, just the operational side of sitting in that seat, and it stretches you. a lot, and it did me. The reason that I want to run again for the Duluth City Council after losing by 48 votes to Renee in 2 years ago is that I really think this is one of the most exciting opportunities I think we have for our particular district with the Anger Golf Course project. You know, the money is being placed there, and other things that using the 50/50 tax for more recreational facilities in the Lincoln Park District. That's right up my wheelhouse, and I really want to be a part of that. I was you know, the spark that got the Heritage Sports Center going, and brought Alex Giuliani and Pat Francisco together, and to see, you know, what we can do with that, with those type of projects that increase tourism and have economic benefit, is really exciting. So I'm excited to possibly have the opportunity to do it again. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Swenson.
Hello, Tara Swenson. So yeah, running for Duluth City Council District 4, and I guess thank you, yes, to the League of Women Voters for allowing us to be here, and it's really fun to meet your competition a little bit and just connect with them, so we appreciate the opportunity. I moved to Duluth just over 12 years ago, and ultimately I fell in love with the city like many of us do. So I fell in love with the small town, big city feel. Lake Superior captivated me. The running community gathered me. So ultimately, why I'm here is the last 3 years, it's been something that I've thought about, whether I run for District 4, at large, and really what does that mean? And here I am. And why is because of my kids. So as a younger mother in this community, I want them to also fall in love with Duluth. And I want them to feel safe here and connected just as much as I've loved this community. And so ultimately, something that I've continued to say is that when you love something, you continue to fight for it. And so that's what I want to do, is I want to fight for my community, and I want to fight to protect our children. So priorities for me are public safety, and it's just supporting our police and fire and making sure they have the tools and resources that they need to do their job. It's also roads and infrastructure, so making sure that our kids can get to school safely, that our roads are plowed, that we have a way to communicate that to the citizens in all of Duluth. And then lastly, it's that parks and communities. So how do we get people out, make sure they feel safe in their communities, and that they want to attend those parks and those the community centers that we have. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, and now we'll move on to the questions solicited and submitted by organizing committee, and questions submitted to the League of Women Voters website as well. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to respond, and we'll begin with candidate Hanson.
Okay, are you going to ask us the question?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Oh, my
Yes.
bad.
No. You have telepath powers? Huh? You can read our mind?
City Council's chief responsibility is to set strategies for the city. What strategic initiatives would you champion?
Well, I think to Tara's point, I think she speaks very wisely to the issues that are on people's minds. I mean, taxation, you know, the increase, the over 100% increase in the city's local tax levy is unprecedented. It's not sustainable. And so taxation is, I fought very hard on the council when I was there for no excessive tax increases. During the 6 years that I have not served on the council, I was a strong advocate for keeping those taxes down. Unfortunately, they've gone up. And my commitment moving forward will be, if I get back on the council, that I'm going to be a fighter to keep those tax levies down, those increases. We cannot afford anymore. People are getting taxed out of their houses, are moving rapidly out of our 3 districts, Piedmont, Duluth Heights, and Lincoln Park. I'm going to be a bulldog on that, as I've always been for the 4 years I served previously, and the 6 years as a volunteer. I was an advocate to hold the line on those city tax levy increases.
Thank you, candidate Hanson. And we'll move on to candidate Swenson.
Really, the strategy that I would spearhead and support would just be getting back to the basics of our city and making sure that we're focusing on core city council functions, such as that roads and infrastructure, so that we can continue to grow as a city that will bring economic growth and development, in my opinion. And as you focus on making sure that your city is aligned with those values and doing the work that they should be doing, I think that will bring in new businesses. Then we can work with people to bring in homes and making Duluth a better city for everybody. So really it's just going back to the basics and focusing on the core city functions and not getting involved in things outside of that realm.
Thank you. Candidate Rankin?
It was really interesting. Howie hit it, taxes. Tara hit it, infrastructure. But we also got safety. I mean, look at California. People are leaving California because of how unsafe it is over there. If we ain't got safety, we don't have infrastructure, we don't have lower taxes. To me, I'm more geared towards making sure our officers get what they need. Our fire department gets what they need, not hiring a committee to say what they need. I mean, we already know what they need. They need to serve, they're serving and protecting us, and is what they end up doing. Let's let them do their job. Once we get the safety up and done, our infrastructure can be cleaned up as well in the process, which will actually drag more businesses into us, because when a business sees an infrastructure is good, safety is good, they're gonna wanna move in because they know it's a safe place to be in. Same thing with taxation. Once they see property taxes actually stabilize instead of going up by 100%, as Howie has said, my property taxes went up by 100%. Just in 1 year for no explanation. Now it's going up another 20% with no explanation. And we don't see the money going any place besides tourism. And that's kind of where I'm gonna stand. It's not the 30-minute thing, 30-second thing there.
Thank you. And I'm going to get us back on track because I wasn't on track, sorry.
That's okay.
We'll start with, next question we'll start with candidate Hanson again. It's a question that has to do with housing. What innovative ideas do you have to encourage continued construction of new housing options with a focus on housing for individuals with low income?
Well, I think, across all this economic spectrum, I think we got to have housing for not only the service employees, the hospital employees. We're really building up that medical piece in our community at St. Luke's and Essentia Health, and so those docs and those medical professionals are looking for a different type of housing, and it's not available. So recruitment has become a real challenge for the hospitals. The middle class. As people continue to age, we're an aged community, and as people continue to age, hopefully they can flip those houses if they choose to their children, and things like that. Well, that's a big paradigm shift than what it has been now. And low-income housing, I think to Mayor Larson's credit, I think we've done a really good job on that. And you look at the housing, the affordable housing starts are up significantly. I think the number that stands out is 1,700 new units in the last couple of years. So I think we're really doing a good job on housing. I mean, do we need to continue? Of course, big time. And it's a big issue. I think there's a lot bigger issues, that as a city we face. But I think we're doing well. And I think with Mayor Larson's leadership, and I think whoever the Roger Reinert, I've spoken with Roger, and he's committed to the housing piece, and so I'm excited for what we're going to do for housing moving forward and across all three income levels.
Thank you. Candidate Rankin?
So the housing thing. I mean, everybody talks about affordable housing, but affordable is different to everybody. To me, I look at it as what I can afford is different than what somebody else can afford. How do we fix it? I don't think we need to be building high-dollar apartment complexes that nobody can afford and bank on homeowners are going to buy that so somebody else can buy their home, because didn't they just talk about the new building that's going up on 21st Avenue East that's going to be condos, $2 to $3 million a piece, and only one person from Duluth is buying that? I just don't see that working out for Duluth. We're not a high-dollar area. We're more of a medium-income city, and all I see is these houses being built for high-dollar people that are just going to buy them, rent them out as Airbnbs. And I think that just needs to be a stop on that. If we're gonna work on affordable, we have to figure out what is affordable to everybody. Howie talked about middle class. I don't believe in a middle class anymore. To me, I call it just above poverty level class now, because it seems like every time we get something, they drop the guideline. And then us in the middle class sit and we float and we pay most of the taxes out there, and we're the ones that struggle. Like I said, in my neighborhood, they tore down apartment complexes. And I want to say in the downtown area, St. Mary's, Essentia, ripped down a bunch of apartment complexes, claim they don't have housing for their employees. Well, you just tore down a bunch of apartment complexes. And that's where I'll stop at.
Thank you. And candidate Swenson, same question.
Yes, can you repeat the question?
I sure will.
Sorry.
No, that's just fine. What innovative ideas do you have to encourage continued construction of new housing options with a focus on housing for individuals with low incomes?
Okay, thank you. So yes, I think very good points have been made. And so really, I think some innovative ideas are looking at what other communities have done around housing and how they've gotten out of those slumps. I'm in agreement that maybe it's that middle class really that's struggling with finding housing. So those first-time home buyers that are looking to make their roots, build their families here in our community. So what can we do with some of the current low-income housing and the people that are living in those, and what kind of support and tools can we give them in order to become first-time home buyers, to get out of that low-income housing, and then we can move more people into there in order to transition it. Also looking at potentially, like I believe it was Washington, D.C., right, that allowed people to buy houses for very, very little money, renovate them, and then resell them. So what can we do to allow people to invest in our community to fix some of the more abandoned, run-down homes? Duluth is very old, and a lot of our housing is also very old, so it needs a lot of updates. So if you buy a house, often you're having to invest in it. Or even partnering with some of those larger businesses that we have here. So the Cirrus, the Essentia, the St. Luke's, and giving them tools and resources to, as some communities have done, right? Investing in housing themselves so that people, their employees can live in those houses as well. So I think it's connecting with people, listening, building that relationship to figure out what are the gaps to fill.
Thank you. And next question, we're going to start with candidate Swenson. This one has to do with food deserts. Food deserts still exist in the city, affecting senior citizens, adults with disabilities, individuals with low incomes, families without transportation. What is currently being done or needs to be done to address this issue?
Yeah, so District 4 is really a prime example of this, of a food desert, really that Lincoln Park area. So you can see that there have been the farmers market that they've done a really great job with connecting people in that community to fresh produce. We also have Goat Hill that's come in there, which not sure it's necessarily reasonably priced for people that maybe live in that neck of our woods. What I would say is really working with maybe some of our local, the miners or something along those lines to figure out what is another option for food delivery. So we have the Instacart, but that's really a subscription. You have, whether it's Grubhub is more the delivery, but a lot of those are subscription based and become really expensive. So I think it's partnering with some of those communities, again, listening to them. What do they need? What type of food are they missing? And then how do we navigate and get that delivery out to them? And so, yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you. And candidate Hanson, same question.
Good question. It's one of the things that we wrestled at length against during my tenure on the council for 4 years. And the Lincoln Park District, West End, it has 39% poverty rate, which speaks to a lot of issues. There's transportation issues, there's food desert issues, of course, and whatnot, and there's housing issues. But I think it starts and ends, frankly, with using the public transit system, the DTA, to help to provide that transportation to the existing facilities. One of the things I did when I first got on the council is I did meet with a representative from a leadership person with the miners group in particular to see if we could do something, and the economics just do not work to to open a food store in an impoverished neighborhood. And we've learned that throughout the years in every community around the United States. So it really becomes an issue of transportation. You know, if people don't have cars, they can't get there. And, you know, we're seeing that a lot more people are not using cars as we used to when we were growing up, and now they're using public transportation. So I think it starts and ends with the DTA. I'd like to see us launch something proactive that would say that if you don't have a DTA pass, which most people do, I think in that economic status, I think we just got to figure out how that works best.
Thank you. And candidate Rankin, same question.
See, I guess I'm on the opposite here. I mean, if we're booming in the Lincoln Park District area, West End area, why don't we have a grocery store? We had one when I was growing up. It was Mark's IGA. We also had Dan's Candy Store on 27th Avenue West and 3rd Street. Mark's IGA was on 29th Avenue West and 3rd Street. Why'd they disappear for? I mean, Mark's was doing great. Dan's was doing great. I remember going with pennies and buying penny candy from Dan's and then going to Mark's and getting my meat when my mom would give me money. So, I mean, if Lincoln Park West End's gonna be booming, I think it actually needs a grocery store. There's opportunity to build one there. Goat Hill, yes, you're right. Dara said it, Goat Hill is a little expensive. Not someplace I would shop at. So my belief is that just, getting along with one of the major department stores, grocery stores, and just getting one built in the area. Because West End doesn't seem like it's gonna slow down. It seems like it's gonna keep building. So we need to accommodate for every single group in the area. As you can tell, the Lincoln Park West End area, down in my area, it's more booming towards the high-class people. But we can put a little low-class charm inside there as well and just get a little grocery store put inside there that's gonna keep the prices down, carry the food that people needs. I mean, as the old saying goes, it's cheaper to buy junk food than it is to buy healthy food. We gotta turn that around as well.
Thank
And I'm
you.
good.
Thank you.
You just scare me when you're grabbing those. It just get my grandma going, you got this much time left.
All right, next question, and we'll begin with candidate Rankin.
Oh, great.
What programs and/or services would you like to see implemented or changed for the youth of Duluth?
Programs? I would really actually like to see our youth actually learn martial arts. Some way to protect themselves. I'm Second Amendment. I think actually teaching children how to handle firearms, and I know a lot of people are against it because of gun violence and all that stuff, but unfortunately it's around. I'm Second Amendment. But I think actually teaching a lot of this stuff to children will help out a lot. I mean, a lot of different programs. It's going to teach a lot of respect. It's going to teach a lot of responsibility. It's going to teach them how to handle themselves and appreciate the things that are around them. My kids loved martial arts. They loved going to it. They enjoyed it. My kids also like shooting guns. They enjoy it. They kind of wish some of those classes would have been in the schools for them. When I talked to my grandparents back in the day, they talked about it. It was there. They were able to, learn how to do it. It's kind of where I stand at is, let's teach them something of life values. It's out there. It's there. Let's start using it. Let's start teaching it. I think a lot of kids' self-esteems will actually grow if you start teaching them something that is actually going to work. Martial arts is great to teach them to grow. How to handle a gun is great to teach them how to grow. And I know a lot of people are giving me weird looks here, but that's kind of where I stand.
Thank you. And candidate Swenson, same question.
This is a great question. I had a lot of things pop into my head, and it's a similar line, and that's really around building that partnership and relationship with our public safety officers, so both police and fire, I think. So right now, our society has, I would say, a sour taste in their mouth about specifically police. And how do we change that perception so that they can be mentors and have that relationship, teach them some of those self-defense classes. I've taken one myself as a runner in this community, and it's just very eye-opening, and it's a lot of things that you don't think about on a daily basis when you're walking the streets or even in a hotel. So I think really working with those departments and creating a mentorship program to change that perception, to build those relationships, to really make our community safe and connected. And then some of those kids or children, right, in that group might utilize them as a mentor in other ways of life. So I think it would be really important to our community to invest in something like that.
Thank you. And candidate Hanson, same question.
Could you repeat the question, please?
I sure will. What programs and/or services would you like to see implemented or changed for the youth of Duluth?
Well, I think it's a good question. I think the Boys and Girls Club and the Children's Museum and organizations, nonprofits that are set up specifically to serve the youth groups, I think are doing a really good job. I think the school system could be challenged maybe a little more for summer programming. I was really glad to see that we got the free lunch program that was given to all schools, I think, around the state of Minnesota, and is now really popular in Duluth. That kids, I was one of those kids that was always hungry. I was always looking for my next meal and stuff like that, and I was raised by a community. And, you know, when I was a youngster, I could always go to my neighborhood park. I felt, you know, safe. I knew I was going to have mentors there, you know, and I also knew that there were going to be people that close to my age, college students, who were going to mentor and play volleyball and throw a baseball around and stuff like that. And one of the things, you know, when I moved here 40 years ago, 50 years ago now almost, and I married my wife, a Denville grad, the first thing I noticed was that there was just an excuse not to have good recreation programming in the summer especially. And I envisioned seeing kids at our neighborhood parks again, at Piedmont Heights and Duluth Heights, at the Harrison Community Center, and, you know, and getting fed and having fun and having positive peer experiences. But as Tara said, mentoring, I think, is really a big key. And the Y, too. The Y is doing a commendable job in our community in that regard.
Thank you. Next question will begin with candidate Hanson. How can City Council promote and support BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, small business development in Duluth?
Well, we've got special funds, you know, that are set up specifically. What comes to mind, a former board that I served on during my time in the council is a 1200 fund. You know, it's set up specifically to provide economic support for small businesses and stuff like that. Specific to your question, in terms of BIPOC, I think we can always do better, but I think we're doing pretty well. I think that we're encouraging people. I think what we're doing is we're putting our money where our mouth is. I think we're actively creating opportunities for funding assistance and stuff like that. And you know, as somebody, again, who's been around for a long time and seen a lot, I think that we're seeing a lot more minority-owned businesses, and they seem to be doing well. And I'm really glad about that, because I think it creates a culture that is a lot more welcoming and entices a lot more tourism, you know, that we can, even like the native beadwork and things like that. I mean, when I was younger and stuff like that, we never saw any of those things except on the reservations. So, I mean, to bring those things into the community and make those available to the locals and the tourists, I think is really, really exciting that we're doing that. But I think we're really doing well. I think we've got a lot of micro businesses starting up, a lot of diversity in the ownership and the operations, and I think we're doing really well.
Thank you. Same question, candidate Rankin?
Would you mind repeating that, please?
I would be happy to.
Thank you.
How can City Council promote and support BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color small business development in Duluth?
Well, we can support small businesses by not shutting them down when something happens. Let's take COVID. We shut all the small businesses down, but we let the big businesses rake in the cash. Big mistake. We should have shut those guys down first before the small businesses. We basically told the small businesses they were useless in our eyes. I disagreed with it. I would have rather gone to a small business, give them my money, than give the big corporations the money as well. As for how can we support Indigenous people, different cultures and that stuff, it's like the old saying goes, when someone says no, do it. Just make a business. It's out there. Everybody's got the same opportunity. You got to go for it. As my parents always said, if someone's going to kick you, just keep getting back up. So if some place is gonna say, no, you can't open that, don't take no for an answer. Open it. Open your business up. Get your business up and running. If you have a product someone wants, someone's gonna go for it. I don't think government should help out in those certain areas, to be honest with you. I know it sounds mean and all that stuff, but we all grow up with the same opportunities. We all take the chances. We all fail. We all prosper. We fail. We prosper. It's a vicious cycle. Once you're kicked, get back up. That's kind of where I stand at. You know what I mean? I'm all for small businesses, but I'm not just for one group small business. I'm for everybody.
Thank you. And same question, candidate Swenson.
Yeah. I think really what we can do as a council is making sure that we are supporting it, and how do we make it easy for these people so that they can get told yes. And so that we're taking down some of those roadblocks that they might be running into. I would agree with Howie that I think Duluth has done a really nice job in investing in our BIPOC community in the recent years. And so we have the Entrepreneur Fund that is really supportive and getting those businesses that opportunity and pushing them forward. The Duluth Chamber does special events with them and supporting them to get them some publicity with their grand opening to make sure that we are giving back to that community. I do think it's important for the Duluth community to have those businesses here and being successful, because it creates a great culture and environment. There's a lot of learning that goes with that. You know, we've had different events and or fairs coming up, whether that was Juneteenth or we have Festival by the Lake. And so just making sure that we're working with those organizations to include our BIPOC community.
Okay. Thank you. Next question, and we'll begin with candidate Swenson. What are your ideas to increase city revenues and/or decrease city expenses?
That's our job, right? A city council. There's the budget 101. So this would be a huge learning opportunity for me. So I have a lot to learn about a city budget. And so that is one thing I am really looking forward to. And I think we have to grow our tax base. And so granted, we have done a wonderful job investing in small business. I think we also need to look at larger corporations and how do we really bring that industry into our community and making sure they want to build here and be present here. So it goes back to making it easy for them, getting excited about them, and helping support them here. So I think if we can bring in larger businesses, that will take some of that tax burden away from the citizens of Duluth here and that middle class that we have talked about, and really everybody here. And so I think bringing in larger businesses is how we can help support that.
Okay, thank you. And same question, candidate Hanson?
Could you repeat the question again?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No worries. What are your ideas to increase city revenues and/or decrease city expenses?
Tough, good question. I love budgets. I've loved budgets since I was 20 years old, and in my free time, I study budgets. And in particular, I love studying the city of Duluth budget. I can see what I perceive to be missed expenditures or poor expenditures, and I can also see where the fat exists and stuff like that with regard to staffing levels and whatnot. But specific to your question, we all hope that a Google or an Amazon or somebody will come and relocate to our community. The fact of the matter is, every community in the United States are looking for that opportunity, so it's not really out there. I think retention is really a big issue, like we did with the paper plant in the West Duluth. They moved and we kept them. So retention is we're investing in Cirrus. We're making in-kind contributions in physical plant buildings and stuff like that to ensure that they keep the local jobs here and they're successful. So I think those are big issues. Moreover, I also believe that one of the greatest opportunities that we have as a community is to begin to turn our attention and to have a really healthy, spirited community dialogue about Lake Superior and what that great resource we have means for economic development as people try to get our water moving forward for our grandchildren and those generations. They're after our water, and we need to start having that conversation now about how that works and what we do and don't do. with regard to our greatest resource.
Great, thank you. And candidate Rankin, same question.
Well, I'll have to agree with big businesses. You know, we do need better businesses here in Duluth. I remember Diamond Tool. Every tool I find out that's Diamond Tool, I actually buy it. I really wish that place would come back. Loved that place. Had a friend that worked there 50-some years. Great place to work. We've got these hospitals that are going up. Why are we not making the tools for the hospitals here in Duluth? Instead of outsourcing, let's just start making those things here. Let's bring in a factory that's going to make these tools for these hospitals. You asked how to cut the budget. Well, let's just get rid of the pork belly budget then. Let's cut administration. Administration should always be the first thing on my mind. That should be cut. Nothing else. I mean, when government gets too big, that's when the pot gets too small. When the government gets small, the pot gets bigger because you're not paying as much as, much administration people. And the word pork belly came from a lot of people I talked to. I don't know if that was an old term or a new term, but pork belly sounds really good. So, I mean, that's kind of where I stand. I mean, if we're gonna want more, we're gonna have to get some businesses that are actually gonna make something that we can actually sell to other states. Water supply, yeah, I don't think we should let anybody touch our water supply. That's our Lake Superior. We shouldn't share it. That's kind of where I stand.
Okay, thank you, candidate Rankin. Next question, and we'll begin with candidate Rankin. What is your position on investing in the Duluth Public Library in general, and specifically in supporting the investment in the downtown facility? And where does the library rank in your priorities?
So, unfortunately, I don't go to the library because everything's online. I think the library does have to be updated. I mean, not many people actually read a book much anymore. They mostly just Google it or read it on Amazon. It's nice to see the library get up to modern times, maybe add a little more computers inside there, for the people and stuff. But the library is something we do need. It's where your information is. It's where you can get the information. And, that one's a hard one, considering that we have so much technology. As you can tell, our phones, we carry our phones with us. We get our information from other people. So the library, that one's actually a hard one. I love the design of the building. Can we do something else with it? What can we do with it? It's really hard to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Same question. Same question, candidate Swenson.
The library. I think they're really important for our children. So, right, one of my biggest platforms that I have is protecting our children and making sure that they have places to go, be, and learn. And so when I think about parks and community centers, I do think about the library, making sure that they have an opportunity to go there to learn and be educated. Unfortunately, I think the downtown library specifically has been shared as a place to be. And that is for anybody. So when you go there, you bring your children there, and you see some of our homeless people sleeping there, living there. I don't think that's a safe place to bring our children. So how do we clean it up to make sure that families feel safe being there? I think if families feel safe being there, then they'll in turn want to bring their families there. And making sure we have different events. So granted, they do readings. Oftentimes the readings are during the work week, which I am working as a mother, so I can't bring my children there. So how do we engage those evening activities, the weekend activities, and expand that into different opportunities that the library can serve? So partnering with maybe the schools in that regard too. So can we bring, whether it's an engineering program or CAD design, just some of those tools and resources to bring it more of a learning center for everybody in our community. Thank you.
And same question, candidate Hanson.
I'm all in 100% in on the library system. As I was when I was on the council, I always voted in the yes and affirmative for the library funding for different things. But it's interesting because libraries not only locally but nationally many of them are repurposing themselves in terms of their physical plant. And even in our Duluth downtown library, one of the things that we're doing is we're now engaged in a process where we're trying to identify the best use of that available space down there. And I disagree a little bit with Tara, and to the extent that I think it certainly is, it's families, locals that use the library. But I think one of the really exciting things about the library is the library has become a safe place for a lot of people that are impoverished. And it's not only a warm place, but it's a place for them to use computer systems, because many people in poverty don't have computers and stuff like that. So there's this repurposing type thing, but I want the library to continue to be very welcoming to all people. And I went down there recently with this specifically in mind, to try to assess, that repurposing and what it might look like. And I was really excited to see a lot of the street people there, because it told me that they felt safe, that they felt they were engaged, and I think when we start not inviting everybody and welcoming everybody in public facilities, I think that's a very slippery slope. So I'm excited to see what the library ends up looking like in the long term.
Thank you. And this is the last of the questions. And we'll begin with candidate Hanson. What is an issue you are most passionate about addressing as a city councilor?
I think the recreational opportunities in District 4 and the further expansion of the Lincoln Park Craft District are two tremendously strong opportunities that sit before us. When I was on the city council previously, I was in the early meetings of the genesis of the vision for the Lincoln Park Craft District, and to see where it's at today is really excited. We're going to renovate Anger Park Golf Course. It's going to be a multi-million-dollar renovation on an irrigation system to start. It's an exciting time, but it needs to be done right. So that's another project. One of the other projects that I'm really passionate about and excited about is the possibility of having a sports dome that we're going to use the 50-50 tax money from a pot that's been set aside for these purposes for Parks and Recreation to maybe do some renovations at the Freiburger Arena up in the Woodland. But the sports dome, which I'm going to fight really hard for, frankly, that we have it in the Lincoln Park District somewhere. The Lincoln Park District really, with Wade Stadium renovation and Wheeler Field, is really a sports district as well as a Lincoln Park Craft District. And so there's great opportunity there to create that, once and for all, create that great sports district that we intended it to be.
Thank you. Candidate Rankin, same question.
My passion is actually safety, just safety for our community. I mean, a lot of people I talk to, they talk about how they can't walk places. They have to worry about what's going to happen, if they're going to get jumped and that stuff. So basically, I'm more geared towards the safety part of our city. Once we make it safe, we can get the sports dome, we can get the infrastructure. But if we're not safe, who wants to be here? Who's going to pay taxes if nobody's here? Is what I'm mostly passionate about. I'm passionate about making sure our officers have the tools they need. Our fire department has the tools they need. Our medical personnel have the tools they need to make sure we're safe in our community. And that's kind of where I stand at.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And candidate Swenson, same question.
Yeah. My passion, again, is really that public safety aspect. So making sure that they have the tools and resources that they need. So not having to borrow an armored vehicle from a outlying community to bring in here. If Duluth really is a first-class city, I think we should be able to have those tools available to our officers. Also, I've been told by officers that they have to go to other areas to get first aid supplies. I was shocked, alarmed that, a police officer that would pull up to an accident wouldn't have some of those basic first aid tools that they needed. Those should be things that are in their vehicles so that they feel safe and can make me feel safe if I were to need them. If we have that public safety, then I think we have those people out in the parks. We have the sports center coming in. We have people going out to Anger to golf. And I just think if we have that strong public safety basis, we will see strong economic growth and development in our community.
Thank you. And now, at this time, I'm going to ask you each to offer a 2-minute closing statement. And we'll start with candidate Rankin.
Well, my name's Nathan Rankin, as you know. Basically, you know where I stand. I stand for safety. infrastructure, and our parks as well. There's not much to say. I mean, I'm pretty much non-bipartisan. I don't have a party affiliation. I'm not looking for any campaign funds. I'm just doing this on my own. Hopefully I can get some backings, realize I am actually a no-nonsense person. I don't shut up. My wife always says I never shut up. So that's kind of where I stand. I'm actually just a loudmouth person. I mean, I'm willing to speak my mind. I don't back down what words I say. I ain't gonna apologize if I offend a person. Because sometimes getting offended actually makes you stronger. And that's where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Candidate Hanson.
Thank you, and again, thank you to the League of Women Voters for providing this forum, this resource for voters to see where each of us individual candidates stand on the various issues and stuff like that. Make no mistake, I've spent 40 years plus in this community as a community builder, specifically in the Lincoln Park, Piedmont Heights, and Duluth Heights district. My heart is here. My passion is here. My fingerprints are on various projects, including the Heritage Sports Center, which I was a spark for, and I'm proud of. That's one of the things that I'm really proud of, you know, and the things I've been able to accomplish. And I was right at the beginning, meeting with Tom Hanson at the Lincoln Park Craft District when we started to repurpose and rebuild that neighborhood. In fact, my wife and I even bought a building 2 doors down from the Lincoln Park Craft District just to be a part of that excitement and energy. But I'm a community builder, and that's what drives me. That's what gets me up in the morning. And one of the things that's very unique about being on the council is that you've got to have experience. You need to know how to get things done, how to fight for your neighborhoods and stuff like that. And I proved in the 4 years that I'm a fighter. I'll take on anybody that is going to do something bad and away from our city or our neighborhood. And you know, and I'm really, I can't stop that, the passion. The other thing that's really important, I think, for the 4th District in particular, but all councilors for that matter, is that you've got to make yourself available. You've got to be there. You've got to show up. You know, I had 100% attendance record and returned every phone call and every email for 4 years. I'm proud of that. I'm old school in that regard. But also, I spent mega hours during daytime hours in City Hall here, you know, working with the administration, working with the legal staff and stuff like that to move things forward. And I'm really concerned that, you know, our city councilors have really gotten away from that about getting engaged during the daytime hours when it's really important to meet with people, because things happen during the daytime. And if you have a day job, and I'm semi-retired, so I've got the time, the passion, and the energy to commit to those daytime meetings when things get done.
Thank you. And candidate Swenson.
Yeah, so in closing, my motto has really been nothing changes if nothing changes. And so right now I think Duluth and our city council and local government here is really at a turning point, because we do need new voices coming to the table. I think we have a lot of work to do as a city, and I'm not afraid to dig in, get my hands dirty, be present, and really invest in those relationships in that community. And as a mother, we need to invest in our children. And so that's something that I'm going to commit to and be really proud of, that we can bring those services and that safety and the community back to our children. And so thank you for allowing us to be here. It's been a wonderful opportunity.
And thank you all. This concludes the candidate forum for Duluth City Council District 4. It's our purpose in sponsoring meetings such as this to provide you with an opportunity to hear candidates discuss the issues that are important to you. There's never enough time to cover all of the issues in a limited time setting such as this. So if your questions were not answered and addressed, you should feel free to contact the candidates directly. We hope this program has helped you learn more about the candidates and issues so that you can make informed choices at the polls on Tuesday, August 8th. We thank the candidates and PACT-TV for making this event possible. PACT-TV will carry this forum and others, so check their listings for a schedule of times. Links to these forums will be on the League of Women Voters of Duluth website as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.